Oh my god, guys, they did it. They finally did it. They, for the first time in 14 years, released a really good Sonic game. So Sonic Frontiers has dropped, and as a big Sonic fan, I had to check this out. And this is honestly a game I've been hyped for ever since I saw the teaser trailer. And honestly, it's probably the first Sonic game I've been hyped for since Unleashed, which came out in 2008, but that's besides the point. I thought to myself, could Sonic Team possibly make a game worse than Sonic Boom or more boring than Sonic Forces? Well, this video will determine that. So after spending a few days playing this game and beating it, I feel like it's time for my take on Sonic Frontiers.
I'm here, reaching far across these new frontiers. With my back, fight this fear. In my hands, I hold the ones
Today I'm going to be going over a few things for this video, so if you're watching this, I want to assume you've already played and beaten the game, because if not, then there will be spoilers, so I'd recommend clicking off the video unless you just don't care about them. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about the story, the islands, the characters and interactions, cyberspace, bosses, and my overall rating of the game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First off, let's talk about the story of Sonic Frontiers. The story, in my opinion, is probably the best story for a Sonic game ever since Sonic Unleashed, and that's saying quite a bit. I'm not saying the other stories in the other Sonic games are bad, but this story took the fucking cake for it. The story was written by Ian Flynn, and you could definitely tell that he was the one who wrote the story, because compared to the past Sonic games, this story is incredible compared to those. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the story, but let's just say that out of every single Sonic game I've played, this story is hands down the best one. The reason I'm not going over the story is because if I did, it'd be an entire video. So, and I have a bunch of other things that I want to talk about. But let's just say the story is probably the best story for a Sonic game, probably since Unleashed. And if you guys are wondering why I'm praising Unleashed so much, it's because it's the best Sonic game since Frontiers came out, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You can fight me. But the story in this game is incredibly good, and I just like it. Like, there's not really that much cringy dialogue. And for the first time since Sonic Heroes, Eggman at the end of the story was willing to help the characters. And I say Heroes, and I know he'd helped in 06, but Sonic and the cast don't remember 06, so yeah. Anyway, the story is really good. Let's talk about the islands. The islands, in my opinion, are the best parts of this entire game, and honestly, it's probably the main focus of the game because, well, if you play the game, then you already know that. And out of all of the islands, I think my least favorite is probably Chaos Island, because I didn't really know how to traverse it properly. But I mean, that was, you know, I'm fine with that now. But all of the islands in the game are pretty fun to explore. All of them have really a bunch of fun mini games and whatnot. And that's another thing that I really like about the game itself. There's a lot of mini games in this game, and even towards the end of the game, you get to play fucking pinball. There's pinball. There's crane. There's a bunch of other mini games that you can play, and I just liked it. It was fun. But out of all of the islands, Chaos Island is probably my least favorite in the game. Let's talk about the characters and interactions. So there's not a whole lot of main characters in this game. We have Sonic, we have Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Sage, and Eggman. I don't really have to talk too much about the other characters, but I do want to talk a good bit about Sage, because she's probably my new favorite character in the entire Sonic series. Sage is an AI made by Dr. Eggman, and Sage and Eggman had a father and daughter relationship, and even Eggman goes as far as to calling Sage his actual daughter. And towards the end of the game, Sage is starting to have different thoughts about like helping Sonic and the team, and this is actually very apparent once you get close to the end of the 4th island, I think. Don't quote me on that. But having the relationship between Eggman and Sage was actually kind of heartwarming, and for the first time ever in a Sonic game, I actually felt bad for Eggman towards the end, because not only did Eggman tell his own daughter to fulfill her purpose, but she ended up sacrificing herself as well. And to see Eggman actually be upset about that kind of brought a tear to my eye. I'm not even gonna lie, because he literally watched his only daughter get killed, and she took her own life in the process. So that's just kind of something that didn't really sit well with me. Like, I couldn't imagine anyone losing their son or daughter like that. But I digress. Despite Eggman not doing a whole lot in this game, it was still pretty nice to see him. But I mean, I don't really have too many thoughts on Eggman because, like, I mean, it's Eggman. So yeah, Sonic is one of the most iconic characters in video game history, and seeing the journey that Sonic went on in this game was actually kind of cool. Obviously, the first two islands didn't really affect him too much when it came to cyber corruption. Seeing him on the third island, I was like, oh, well, Sonic's just having a bad day. He's just, got a headache and whatnot. But after the third island, you really see the effect that cyber corruption is taking on Sonic. I actually started feeling really, really worried for him towards at this point in the game. And to see him go through this much was just, it didn't sit right. This is Sonic we're talking about. Now, Sonic on the fourth island did pretty much basically fucking die. So like that just didn't really sit well with me. I was really really worried for Sonic at this point. The interactions with all the other characters are also pretty cool. Cause I don't really remember too much about Amy in this game. I just don't really like her as a character, to be honest. And Tails is one of the things that kind of surprised me the most. Tails has been one of my favorite characters ever since he was introduced. And the fact that he was willing to go as far as to say that he thinks he's being a burden to Sonic because Sonic is always rescuing him. And a lot of people have to remember, if you don't remember already, Sonic and Tails have a sibling bond. They're basically like brothers. I would say that for Sonic and Knuckles, but they're more rivals than brothers, but you get the idea. But Tails saying that he thinks he was a burden is something that really caught me off guard. I'm not even gonna lie. And then he brought up a bunch of past fights, and then Sonic brought up a bunch of past fights as well. And the fact that Tails said that he's willing to go solo for a little bit to try and just grow as a character, I think Tails actually got some really good development in this game. So that's something that was really, really interesting to hear. The interactions between Sonic and Knuckles was also pretty good. They obviously have their rivalry. They have their banter. They even have a brotherly talk in this game as well, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, the interactions and the characters themselves were really really good in this game, and that's something that I think a lot of Sonic games should do going forward if they make a game that's better than Frontiers, which I feel like will be kind of hard to top. But we'll get to that in a bit. Let's talk about the cyberspace levels. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people actually kind of complained about, but I'm willing to look past it because the cyberspace levels are not the main focus in this game. Yes, there are some cyberspace levels that are incredibly short. Some are average time, some are longer than average. But people have to remember, cyberspace is not the main focus of Sonic Frontiers. It's the islands, the exploration, the fighting, and all that fun stuff, which I will get to that in a bit as well. But there's just the cyberspace levels. I'm willing to look past how short they are because, again, they're not the main focus. But thankfully, you can retry them without having to go back to the island and get all four challenges done. And as I brought it up earlier, but let's talk about the bosses. And I'm also going to be combining the combat in this as well because, well, you literally throw hands in this game. So the bosses in this game are incredible. My all-time favorite boss in the entire game is Knight. And if any of you have already played and beaten this game, you will probably agree with me because Knight is probably the best boss fight in this game, with Wyvern being second for me. And I'm just not going to talk about the end because I feel like that's a bit of an underwhelming boss. I mean, Giganto was more of an entertaining boss in the end, but it's whatever. And as I already stated before, the combat as well in this game is incredible. It's incredibly fun to fight in this game as well. I feel like this game is kind of an easy to learn, hard to master kind of thing. But, I mean, kind of, but not really, because some of the fights in this game are a bit of pushover. But the bosses are incredible, and I love every single bit of it. This is probably the most fun I've had doing a boss run in Sonic game since Unleashed. And I've already praised Unleashed a little bit, so yeah, just whatever. The last thing I want to talk about in this game is the music. And do I even really need to say anything about this game's music? If you played this game, you can 100% agree with me that the music is a fucking bop in this game. Every single boss theme, the main theme, the credits theme, the final boss theme, every single song in this game fucking slaps. And I am here for it. Well, no pun intended. So, the music in this game is incredible. And, I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been listening to a lot of the music for the past, 3 days. Just Sonic Frontiers music. And can you really blame me? The music in this game is amazing. But there's not really a whole lot for me to say anything else about this game. So if I had to give this game an overall rating out of 10, it's an 11 out of 10. Now the game does obviously have some issues, but I'm willing to look past those issues because of how much time and effort they put into this game. This is the Sonic game that we've needed for an incredibly long time, and I'm so glad they delivered. Some people even went as far as to say that this is Sonic Adventure 3, or at least a true Sonic Adventure 3, or even Sonic Adventure 4. But I don't want to go that far because Adventure is an incredible game as well. But yeah, this is probably the best Sonic game I've played in a very, very long time, and I'm so glad we got a chance to play a good Sonic game for once. Now, another thing that I do want to mention, it's not on my list over here, but modding capability. You are able to already mod this game, and some of the mods that are already out and some that are being worked on are incredible. In fact, my favorite mod is obviously a mod that allows you to refight the bosses. And if you guys want to see how that mod works, and I will make a video on that as well. And I will leave a link down to it as well whenever I make that video, if I make that video. But being able to go back and refight the bosses without having to restart the entire game is really, really cool. But that being said, that's my take on Sonic Frontiers. Probably one of the best Sonic games that I've ever played in a very, very long time. So if you guys want to see some gameplay of that, I'm probably going to end up making gameplay of it anyway, just doing some of the bosses and whatnot. Then yeah, I'll let you guys know about that, and I'll just keep an eye on the community tab and whatnot, and yeah. So that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my review on this game, and yeah, hope talk to you guys later. Peace.
I've been there and I've seen it.